I'm Kendra Bailey Morris, and welcome to the Heart of the Home. Today we're going to be making a really easy recipe, and it just breathes spring to me. This is a roasted asparagus pasta with goat cheese and a little bit of lemon zest, and we're going to be using Virginia-grown asparagus today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by roasting this, but before I roast it, I'm just going to cut it into pieces because this is actually going to go into the pasta. I love roasted asparagus just on its own. It's a really, really simple way to serve asparagus at home. Just go ahead, and I'm about to do it now, toss it with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, put it in a 400-degree oven, and roast it until it's nice and crispy, but not too overcooked. And you obviously don't need to parboil this ahead of time or steam it ahead of time. It will actually fully cook in the oven. And I'm going to take some olive oil. And when you're doing the roasted asparagus, it's really important to use a quality olive oil. So get a nice extra virgin olive oil, a couple of tablespoons there, depending on how much asparagus you have. And I'm obviously going to take some salt. Kosher salt, sea salt, I recommend, definitely. Freshly ground pepper. So I'm just going to spread these out nice and flat here. And this is going to go in a 400-degree oven. And since I'm going to be tossing this again with some pasta in a pan, which is obviously going to be heated, I'm going to just cook them enough to get them a little bit cooked, almost like al dente. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Meanwhile, what I've got here is some farfalle pasta. If you can't find farfalle, you can use a penne. That's the small penne, or the large penne is also really nice as well. I've already cooked this pasta, and what I've done is I've just boiled it in some salted water, and I've cooked it probably just until it's to the tooth, which is al dente. So this is not fully cooked, and as we cook our asparagus, you'll see when we come back, we're going to toss all this together in a hot pan. By that time, it should cook all the way through. I've cooked this ahead of time, which you can do if you want to. If you do that, make sure you toss it with a little bit of olive oil just to keep the pieces separated, the little pieces of pasta, or otherwise by the next day it'll be clumped together. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cooking my asparagus, and when we come back, we'll assemble our pasta dish. We'll be right back. Okay, so our asparagus is done. I'm going to take it out of the oven. And you can see that it's just kind of wilted and cooked, but it's not overcooked. There's a little bit of caramelization there, which I think is really nice. Meanwhile, I have a pan, preheated, a large pan, and I've already cooked my pasta, as I mentioned before. And what we're going to do now is just add some aromatics to this. So we're going to add some fresh thyme, and we're going to add a little bit of lemon zest to this. And I really love the flavor of the lemon zest. It goes really nice with asparagus, obviously great with pasta as well. So I'm just going to take some of the leaves off of these stems of fresh thyme. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and add some extra virgin olive oil, about a 1/4 cup or so, to my pan. And this is going to be the base for the pasta. See, it's starting to shimmer a little bit, which is what we're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and throw my thyme directly into that oil, because that's what we're doing really, is flavoring the oil. And then I'm going to go ahead and zest some of this lemon in there. Not too much, but enough just to infiltrate that extra virgin olive oil. It's going to be really nice. I'm going to cook this for really about 30 seconds, maybe a minute at tops. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add my asparagus back in. This is why we par-cooked it. We didn't cook it too much because we're going to cook it a little bit more, and we don't want it to be wilty and too soft. That's not good. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my pasta back in. And finally, I'm going to go ahead and add my goat cheese, and I've got about 8 ounces or so. And don't worry, this is going to come out in clumps, but it's going to melt. And this is softened goat cheese. Don't pull it. I recommend not pulling it straight out of the fridge and putting it in your pasta, because it's going to be too hard and it's not going to melt properly. And you want all of this to come together kind of at the right time. A little bit of salt. Obviously, freshly ground pepper. I like a lot of freshly ground pepper in this dish. And I'm just going to cook this for about another minute, minute and a half, and then we'll assemble our dish. Okay, so this is starting to come together real nicely. I'm just going to add a little bit of reserved pasta water. And you just want to add enough just to kind of give it a little bit of a silky sheen here. You don't want it to be watery, but you don't want it to be too thick either. And obviously goat cheese is soft, but it can be rather dense, so you want to find a good balance there. And the reason that I'm going ahead and cutting the heat off completely, or if you need to, you can also just take it off the burner, is because you don't want to overcook that pasta. This pasta is probably cooked about 2 to 3 minutes less than it should have been, and before I put it in the pan. So you want to make sure you don't get it soft. Al dente, always with pasta, it gives it a nice to the tooth kind of texture. All right, and I'm going to bring the pan over, and I'm just going to pour this in. There we go. It's looking really nice. All right. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put some on the plate here. This is fresh and delicious. Again, I just see this as such a wonderful spring recipe. It's surprisingly light, even though you have all of that goat cheese in it. You'd be shocked. And a little bit more black pepper. I think pasta really benefits from that. Okay, so here we have it. This is a farfalle pasta, a bow tie pasta with roasted asparagus and fresh goat cheese. I'm Kendra Bailey Morris. Let's get cooking.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafarmbureau.org.